Hey everybody, I know what everyone's going to say. I shouldn't make this video, I should just let it lay and believe in what I've already said, but I'm going to respond to the infamous bikers video about my mirrors and not use of them and talking about role models. Now this video is 25 minutes long, so forgive me if I've forgotten any bits. But at the beginning of the video you basically say that I'm a liar for saying that I can't see out my mirrors. You're not realising the age of the issue, and I admit there is some fault of my own here that I haven't mentioned this and I have made some assumptions with it, but I'll get into that. You've used the example of the mirrors on this bike in the video where I did my CBT. You asked why I put them on for the CBT, because the centre told me, I rang them and said, I don't use mirrors, is that okay? And they said to me, no, you need to fit mirrors. Even if you don't use them, you need to fit mirrors. You missed in that video later on where I said to the instructor, I don't use mirrors, I just use shoulder checks. And he said, okay, that's your choice kind of thing, but just at least make sure you look like you're using them. That was his line on it. So he was okay with it because it's my choice. Whether you think he probably thought I was a fucking idiot for it, but you know, whatever. Anyway, now the reason I say the age of it is important because this bike is the same as my last bike, but different all the same. Because the Pulse is the bike that I stopped using mirrors on. Now you used, I say, the Sinus as an example of this is a Sinus mirror, okay? This is a Pulse mirror. Can you see how much shorter that is? And you're saying that I'm not that broad, I'm not that big of a guy. Ask anyone that's met me, there's a lot of them. And some of the first things that they normally say to me is, fuck me, you're huge. I'm not saying I'm muscly or anything, I'm just saying I'm a well-built guy, and when I've got a jacket on with shoulder pads and all of that, it makes me even wider. I can just about fit through a standard door if I pull my shoulders in a bit, okay? So, whatever. As I say, there is a mirror length difference. Now, when I got this bike, I hadn't been using mirrors for so long that I disregarded them. These aren't ideal, but they are better than the ones that came on the Pulse, the ones that I stopped using mirrors with. By that point, I hadn't been using them for so long, it became habit. And as I say, that's where my fault is. Maybe I should have seen if these were better, but they still weren't great. Now, I've even thought more. This bike, now I've put risers on it, and I've put longer bars on it. These actually may work perfectly well. I mean, I don't know. Is it difficult for a riding position? I'll have to have a play and see if they work. If I can get them to work, then I'll use them, no problem. As I've said, if they worked, I'd use them. So yeah, basically calling me a liar repeatedly and saying that my reasoning is a lie is not right. That's my decision in the end of it. And as I say, I may fit the longer ones onto here if they work properly, or I might not. That is my decision, and you'll just have to agree to disagree. In the police bike video, you're missing a lot of the story there. If you watch the video afterwards, I see the policeman, and he goes round, and I've been up the roundabout, and then I turn left. I was concerned he was going to do a U-turn on me, okay? So I'm going down the road, and I don't want to do a shoulder check, just in case he's there, and he thinks I'm like, you know, oh, why is that policeman there? I don't have a front L plate, as some of you know, and I've always said it's a very bad idea to do it, but it's because I have for years, and I've passed thousands of police cars and never had a problem. However, I am actually going to fit one, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. When I was doing the speed limit, for him to overtake me that closely and that fast, that was the issue. But it wasn't like I was saying, look at this terrible policeman here, oh, isn't he the worst? It was a joke at my own expense. And as someone said, this is a great example of why you need mirrors. Well, okay, there you go. There's an example to others to take from it with their own free will. Well, I can see why you'd want mirrors now. Of course, a lot of people's opinion, maybe even most people's opinion, will be for me to turn around to you and say, fuck off, it's my decision. It's got nothing to do with you. But I'm giving you the reasoning, and I'm showing you why things have changed and things weren't the same. Now, onto the role model thing. People, and you indeed as well, missed my point entirely. But the real question wasn't, am I a role model? Do people look up to me in a way? Of course they do, because if, you know, I know people like, oh my God, I can't believe I've met you. That shows they look up to me in a way. But am I legally responsible for their actions? No. How can I be held responsible for that? People are intelligent. My channel is made for adults. That's why I say fuck and shit all the time. Because I don't consider that children are going to watch this. The youngest person that's going to be affected by me riding on the road is 16 years old. Yeah, okay, they're young. And a 16-year-old will be very headstrong about what they think is right and wrong. But they still have parents. They still have their own free will and decisions to make. And people make their own choices. I've never said to anyone, you need to take your mirrors off your bike because X, Y, and Z. I've just said, I don't do it. When anyone's asked, I've always said, it's not a good idea. Same with the L plate, which I'm going to get to. I've always said, when people said, is that legal? I'm like, no, it's not legal. It's not legal, and I know it's not. There are reasons why I do it. and I'm actually, and as you say, I am a role model in a way. Yes, there is one thing that I do which I can't deny is a bad thing to do, and people could take it the wrong way. I mean, in this area, the police don't care. In other areas, they will. I agree with that. So I'm going to get an L plate put back on the front of this bike. Even though it means now I'm going to have to be really careful about people pulling out on me because they think I'm slow and stuff like that. And that is a fact of having L plates on the front. People know it. I've experienced with and without. I felt the difference. Oh yeah, the 3 examples you gave, a video. The first one was on an industrial estate on a Sunday, and it's a dead-end road. I wasn't really concerned about cars being behind me at that point. In the same way, I'm not really worried about people being behind me right now, because look, there's no one there. Because I'm in a car park on a rainy day down by the beach. Anyway, the second example you gave, I'm failing to see how, unless I drop backwards or suddenly swing around the road or something, you know, I don't see how knowing what's going on behind me is going to be my responsibility. If a car suddenly hits me from behind, then it's their fault for being too close. But I agree with you that, yeah, maybe it would be better for me to know exactly what's going on, even if there isn't a car there, just to be aware of it. I do agree with you, there is a point there, but that, again, is my decision to make and my own risk. Make of that what you will. As I've said, I am not a perfect human being, and I don't pretend to be. And in the third example, I did do a couple of shoulder checks, yes. There was an edit in there where I most likely shoulder checked in the middle of it. Basically, if I feel I could be at danger at any point, that's when I tend to shoulder check. People miss the point. I don't think I can be held legally responsible, just responsible for other people's actions without their free will. I mean, if I was actively trying to make people jump off cliffs and stuff, then maybe you could say something about that, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm not telling people that something I'm doing is right and they're wrong for... I'm not saying to people, don't use mirrors. This is the fucking thing about it. Now, the problem with the internet is no matter what you do, you're going to get both sides of the argument, okay? So, how is this video going to be perceived? Some will say that I'm weak for replying to it, I should have ignored it. Some people say, well, yeah, you've had your say. They can say I'm wrong and they can disagree with me and that's fine, you know? Unless I was breaking the law, then there is something to say. And that's why the L plate is going back on, because I agree with you wholeheartedly. In that sense, yeah, I should be setting a better example, and if I wasn't on YouTube, no, fuck off, I wouldn't do it, but because I am on YouTube, yeah, I will. So you will see that coming in the next week or so. How are people going to see your video? Some are going to see you as a moaning, complaining guy who's trying to tell everyone else how to do their job. Some people are going to say that you're completely jealous of my channel because I have 32,000 subs and you don't. I'm not saying that, I'm just saying this is, I know, you know as well as I do, these are the things that people will say about any given situation. I understand you just wanted to have your say and you strongly feel that your opinion is correct and mine is wrong. And that's fine. We can agree to disagree on some points, and the other points, it's, you know, as I said, I'm going to make some changes. Of course, your request to do a hangout with me, which I don't ever do, or for me to make this video, is only going to be seen as beneficial to your channel. So, you know, some people are going to say, oh, I don't agree with it, I think you're just having your say, so that's why I'm replying to it. But mate, you have put me in a really fucking difficult position because you used my video footage without my permission. You can't do that, it is copyright infringement. Normally this wouldn't be such an issue, but I am with a partnership company. I technically work for Disney. Okay, now, me knowing that you've got that online, because I'm having to respond to it, I'm showing precedence that I know it exists, means that if the company find out, I can lose my partnership because I've accepted for my footage to be used elsewhere on the internet by other people. That is my permission. Okay? Because my contract clearly states I'm not allowed to use my videos once uploaded to YouTube anywhere else or allow anyone else to use them. That's why I wasn't able to get on TV with a video of mine before now. So I have two options. I either ignore it and risk my partnership company, my income, my future. Not my future necessarily, but some of it. The other option is I flag your video for having my copyrighted material in it. Plastic crab, that's... Oh, no, it's a turtle, it was a turtle. Sorry. Yeah, otherwise, I've got to flag it to say that you've used my footage and then it got taken down. Now, how's that going to get taken? There's only one way that's going to get taken. I am in the wrong, and by me flagging your video to have it removed shows my guilt, because that's the way that the internet courts work, you know. As I say, you've put me in a real tricky one there, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I really don't. And I think people can understand why I don't know what I'm going to do with that one, because that's... There's many of my subscribers who have asked me to use footage, and I've had to say to them, I'm sorry, but you can't do that, or I can't give you permission to do it, because of my, my partnership. So anyway, that's my response to what you've got to say. On the opinion things, as I say, well, you're going to have to just accept that we will agree to disagree. If there's people that strongly agree with Infamous, then I suggest that you unsub my channel and sub his channel, because you're going to find his content more in line with your views than my views. I can't really say any more than that.